I'm not going to hold back in this video. Delmarva Power is a monopoly. I can't go and get my power from someone else. Delmarva Power is just allowed to essentially charge whatever they want, and we can't say anything about it. I'm not one to complain on a social network. I usually keep it to myself. I am not one to even pay attention to these kinds of things. Honestly, I pay my power bill or my electric bill every month and don't really think twice about it. But when I got my January bill for December and I realized that my bill was up a lot, it made me wonder, oh, wow, why is my bill so much money? And then I got my bill for January and it was even more. And at that point is when I started to really investigate why my bill was so much. And I started seeing like more and more articles and people complaining on social media about their Delmarva Power bill. So I knew that I was not the only one, because I'll be honest, I started looking around trying to figure out maybe what is sucking so much electric. I'm in an all electric household. I live in a very rural part of Delaware and we don't have access to natural gas. I could, I guess, essentially put in a propane tank, but I feel like I would actually be in the same situation that I'm in now, in the fact that someone's going to own that tank and I'm going to have a contract with a company that they can basically charge whatever they want. And that's essentially what's happening right here, is that Delmarva Power is a monopoly. I cannot get my power from anyone else, even though their website says that I can. That is definitely it's a lie. It's just a flat out lie. I don't like to even get involved in these kinds of things. But as a realtor, I have been telling people to retire to Delaware because our property taxes are low and our cost of living is low. And that's really just not the case anymore. And it needs to be said, because I feel for the retirees. If you are on a fixed income and you get smacked with a bill for $700, $800, you're not going to be able to pay that. It's something that you don't plan for. I mean, when you go from a bill that's like, I'm just going to throw out a number, $200, and it goes up to $700, $800, $900. And that's enough to make an elderly person decide whether they're going to heat their home or whether they're going to eat. Like, that's ultimately what Delmarva Power is doing to people. If you are not aware, there is a Delmarva Power Victims Facebook group, which when I joined this group, I believe there were like 2,000 members. The group is now up to 11,000 members. And I ultimately think there would be even more if more people knew about it. I watch every day people post their bills and they show how their bill was $100 or $200 or even $300. And now some of these bills are $1,000, $1,200, $1,400. I had someone comment on my video that their bill was $1,400. And that is just it's not okay. And it's like something has to be done about it, right? And unfortunately, with Delmarva Power being a monopoly, which I didn't even know that was allowed. I don't understand how that's allowed. I can't go and get my power from someone else. My attitude has changed drastically over the past couple of days. The more I read every single day about how they're having these meetings, but essentially nothing's being decided. And now, I'll read you this article because this actually cracks me up. But now, because so many people are complaining, now they're deciding that they may do something about it. It says, Democrats consider tighter regulations on Delmarva Power in wake of bill outrage. I've seen some people say that they're going to put wind turbines in their backyard. But then I've also seen people say that they have solar panels and their bill still went up and then they're still paying that solar panel bill. So is the answer to get off the grid? Can you even do that? I mean, what is the answer? I started looking around my house going, what is pulling so much power? And I've started to okay, yeah, my windows are not that great. Obviously I needed to get new windows. My heat is already to a point where like we need to have sweatshirts on. We need to be bundled up. I even to the point where laundry is piling up because I think to myself, okay, well, I don't want to run the washer that often because my well pump is then going to run and the well pump then pulls a lot of electricity. I've decided to turn down my water heater and not make it as hot because I do not have a tankless water heater, mainly because I have electric everything. I then think about, okay, well, I don't want to run my dryer when my heater is running. And what are the off-peak hours? What are the on-peak hours? And here's the funny part. When you actually look this up on Delmarva's website, you can't find it. So then I had to go into Google and then I had to type in what is off-peak hours. And then I still wasn't giving a straight answer. So then I had to type in like, okay, is there peak hours for Delmarva? And I found that the peak hour, and I don't even know if this is right or not, but the peak hours are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. What this tells me is that I should do my laundry after 8 o'clock and before 10 a.m. if I'm understanding it correctly. But the thing is that it changes too. It changes during, I think, like daylight savings times. It also changes on holidays, like all of these different things. If they wanted you to know this information, it would be available everywhere. They keep telling us, oh, we'll just use less electric. So let's be honest. They do not want us to use less. They just want to charge us more. At the end of the day, I don't know if I don't know. Is it political or is it the fact that we're just lining the pockets of the CEO who has millions of dollars in bonuses? The thing is like, it just seems like it's a Delmarva Power situation because if you go back to November 9th of 2024, Cape Gazette ran an article that said Delaware Co-op, which is like kind of like in Kent County. It seems like the middle of the state is the part that doesn't have Delmarva Power. They are a I think it's non-for-profit. I think that's what they say. The article literally says we returned $10 million to our members. So they're not having this issue. I don't see Delaware Co-op people telling me, oh, my electric bill has skyrocketed. And have they gone up slightly? Yes. I mean, everyone is going to go up. Let's go back to this article. So in the wake of the widespread complaints over electricity and gas bill increases, leading Democratic lawmakers are suggesting stricter regulations that could limit the amount of money for profit utility companies such as Delmarva Power can generate in the state. Why is this just coming up now? I'm pretty sure the surrounding states, you're not allowed, like there's a certain cap. And it basically says that Stephanie Hansen, who is a Democrat senator for Delaware, told Spotlight Delaware that she and her Democratic colleagues are considering a package of energy legislation that would include a provision that directs regulators to deny requests for power rate increases unless they deem them to be legally prudent. Such rate increases typically are requested to allow a utility company to recoup costs of building new energy infrastructure. Currently, regulators will examine whether those investments are good business judgments, a lower threshold than prudent, when deciding whether to approve an increase. It may be a good business judgment that you make that expense, but is it a prudent spending of the money? Hansen asked. I just want to put this out there. Hansen is also the one that voted yes for the SB 33 bill, which is ultimately without any price protections, which is ultimately what kind of started some of this. It was voted back in 2021 and it was to take place in 2025. So just want to put that out there. It says Delmarva Power operates as a monopoly gas and electricity distributor in much of the state where it owns power lines, poles, and other energy distribution infrastructure. As such, it is also subject to state-imposed limits on how much it can charge and how much it can profit from its operations. But hold on, it gets better. Hansen's comments Friday followed a rare investigation hearing of the Senate Environment, Energy, and Transportation Committee that featured lawmakers questioning a Delmarva Power executive about recent electricity bills. There is an another Senate Majority Leader, Brian Townsend, and he said, he is not a member of the committee, by the way. He said, he stood up and he said, we need legislators to consider adjusting Delmarva Power's allowable profits in the state. He questioned why the utility should be allowed to earn nearly 10% return on investments when Delawareans don't get to enjoy that level of stability. It says, if you are allowed that year in, year out, month in, month out, no matter what, that might not be the best system. Hello. So Delmarva Power is just allowed to essentially charge whatever they want, and we can't say anything about it. So it says, Townsend and Hansen's comments are a clear response to the public dissatisfaction with Delmarva Power, the state's largest utility company, that began in January following what many said were stark and unexpected increases in power bills for electricity and gas used in December. Here's the thing. I've seen some, once again, I do not have gas from Delmarva Power. I live in the rural part of Delaware. We do not have access to that. The people that do have Delmarva Power for their gas, they have shown that the delivery charge is actually more than their usage. Explain that to me. I won't even go into what Maryland's going through when they have Empower Maryland or something on their bills, which from what I'm understanding, do not quote me on this because I do not know. From what I'm understanding is a part of the bill that covers people that can't pay their electric bills, which is essentially going to be almost all of us soon. So anyway, the person from Delmarva Power, this cracks me up. So he pulled his personal electric bill out and he said that he showed the changes from December bill to his January bill. It says it is not immediately clear whether those charges were for energy used in December and January or the bills sent during December and January. But he said it was particularly cold in Delaware in January with an average temperature of about 30 degrees, 6 degrees colder than the year before. 17 days below freezing, according to the Weather Underground data. However, December was warmer with an average temperature of 38 degrees and 8 days below freezing. He said that you have to look at the usage on the bill itself. There were also some very cold days in December. He acknowledges that the delivery and distribution charges, which are separate from gas and electric supply costs, had gone up, but he said he had not seen an increase significantly. I think he's delusional. He's literally delusional. I think he's making this up and he thinks that we're all, for lack of a better word, morons. They must think we are so dumb and that we don't see what's going on here. All I'm trying to say is Delaware Co-op is not having this issue. They are a nonprofit and Delmarva Power is a profit company. To me, I would want Delaware Co-op to expand their reach if they can, because we should just push Delmarva Power right out, which I don't even know how, I don't know what that entails, right? So I'm kind of just I'm spitballing things out because it just makes me so angry. It makes me so angry for the elderly that literally are terrified. I see these people, they were I just saw it last night. This woman bought a battery packed light that she was using under her cabinets that she is literally using in her kitchen now. She said it lasts 2 to 3 weeks and the batteries that she puts in there are less expensive than her utility bill. So that's what she's going to use to light her house. I've seen people that said they travel for work all the time. They're never home. They unplug everything and they turn their water off because they're never home because they're traveling all the time and they don't want, stuff to burst or whatever. And they still got a bill for $839. $839. And they're never home. Hansen was questioned about these utility bills a couple weeks ago. And her exact answer was, well, maybe you need to learn to use less energy. Let me see your electric bill. To make a comment like that as, we'll just use less energy. Okay. All right. Well, let me try and figure that out. Because here's the thing, even if you unplug everything, you still get a pretty hefty bill. And I can tell you this because many people have said the same thing. Many elderly have said, I have unplugged literally everything, and I'm still terrified of what my bill is going to be when I get it. That's a problem, and it needs to be fixed ASAP. So if there's something that I'm missing, if there is something that you know that I don't know, or something that you can enlighten me with, please let me know. I am all about trying to learn more about this situation, but ultimately this is how I'm seeing it, because it has basically taken over my brain. I don't think that there has been an hour in the past 2 weeks that I have not thought about this. I think about this constantly. I don't want to have to think about what is my bill going to be $1,000 next month? And that's ultimately how I feel. If you know someone that this video would help, please share it with them. If, like I said, if you want to add more to the conversation, please let me know. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped. If it did, be sure to subscribe and give me a like, and I will keep you up to date on anything else that I find out about this whole situation.